Let me guess. You've done EMDR for trauma. You've worked with IFS and gotten to know your parts. You've done somatic therapy and learned about your nervous system. You've practiced regulation techniques. You're highly trained and deeply committed to healing, and you're still exhausted. You're still depleted, still feeling like something fundamental isn't being touched. Here's what nobody tells you. Those modalities work brilliantly for what they're designed for. But burnout for empathic healers and entrepreneurs requires something that they don't address. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why EMDR, IFS, and Somatics haven't resolved your exhaustion, what those approaches are missing, and what you actually need instead. You've invested thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours in healing modalities. You've processed childhood trauma with EMDR. You've dialogued with your parts in IFS. You've done somatic therapy to work with your nervous system. And yet, you're still waking up exhausted, still feeling empty, still burned out. You're starting to wonder if you're just unfixable or if you're missing something. I'm Dr. Oscar Perez, the Soul Recovery Specialist. I work specifically with healing professionals and entrepreneurs who've tried every evidence-based modality and are still feeling depleted. And I can tell you, you're not resistant to treatment. The problem is that your burnout has dimensions that those modalities weren't designed to address. I'm going to show you the 5 reasons why EMDR, IFS, and somatics haven't resolved your exhaustion and what's actually missing. Those modalities address personal trauma, not lineage level or transpersonal grief. EMDR, IFS, and somatic therapy are designed for processing individual trauma from your lifetime. They work with your childhood wounds, your attachment injuries, your personal nervous system dysregulation. But empathic healers and entrepreneurs often carry ancestral and transpersonal grief, pain that's inherited through lineage that predates your birth, as well as pain that you absorb from the collective environment. This includes displacement, cultural loss, intergenerational trauma, inherited survival patterns, emotional destruction, environmental destruction, war, and collective suffering. You can process every personal trauma and still be heavy because you're carrying grief that isn't yours. Here's what those modalities can't touch: the grief that you inherited before you were born, and the suffering that you absorb from what you see in the world. Every empathic healer and entrepreneur that I work with has done extensive personal trauma work. EMDR, IFS, somatic therapy, even plant medicine ceremonies, and still they describe the same thing. They say, I've processed my childhood, my relationships, everything from my life, but I'm still heavy. I still feel drained. That heaviness is ancestral and transpersonal. Those modalities don't have a spiritual or an energetic understanding of lineage. They don't understand the pain that you absorb from your ancestors and from the collective. Imagine trying to clean a house that has water damage. EMDR, IFS, and somatics, they clean the visible mess brilliantly. They address the stains, the mold, the obvious damage. But the water is still coming in from the well that your ancestors dug before the house was built on it, generations ago. You can clean the visible damage endlessly, but until you address the source, the foundation that's built on leaky ground, the house stays damp. That's ancestral grief. It's not in your personal story, but it is flooding your system. Have you ever processed your personal trauma thoroughly, but still feel grief that seems older than your lifetime? That's ancestral, and it's also transpersonal, and it requires different approaches than personal trauma modalities. But lineage isn't the only thing that they miss. Here's the second dimension. Those modalities focus on psychological healing and not on spiritual or energetic displacement. EMDR, IFS, and somatic therapy operate from a psychological framework: trauma, parts, nervous system. They're incredibly effective for psychological wounds. But empathic healers and entrepreneurs, their burnout often includes soul loss, which is spiritual displacement, not just psychological injury. This means that a part of your life force left your body during overwhelming or frightening circumstances. That's not just a psychological problem, it's a spiritual or energetic one. Those modalities don't have language or practices for calling your soul back home. You can integrate all your parts and still have soul loss. Empathic healers and entrepreneurs tell me constantly, I've done parts work, my parts are less activated, but I still feel empty, like something essential is missing. That's because IFS addresses psychological fragmentation, but it doesn't understand it as spiritual displacement. Soul loss requires soul recovery, and that's a spiritual practice, not just a psychological one. Imagine that you live in the center of a vast spider web. EMDR, IFS, and Somatics repair the tears to the center of that web beautifully. They fix the tattered threads that are at the center, but the outer threads are constantly being tattered and torn, and some were missing when you were born to begin with. Those modalities, they help to repair the center, but the web stays weak because the relational threads are never repaired. Soul recovery repairs the entire web. It not only strengthens the center, which is you, it also reestablishes the relational threads that strengthen you. You need both. When all parts of the web are strong, the parts of you that have been fragmented feel safe to come back. So stop asking, why haven't I integrated this yet? And start asking, where did those parts of my soul go? And how do I call them back? And here's the third dimension that those approaches completely miss. Those modalities treat past trauma, not ongoing present-day depletion. EMDR, IFS, and somatic therapy focus on resolving past wounds. They help you process what happened before so it stops affecting you now. But for working healers and empathic entrepreneurs, the problem isn't just the past, it's the present. You're being depleted right now by your current work and life structure. Too many clients, absorbing trauma, or giving without reciprocity. You can heal all of your past trauma, but if your present is still extractive, you stay exhausted. You're not still traumatized from the past. You're actually being traumatized by your present. Every empathic leader who's done extensive trauma work tells me the same thing. They say, I've processed my past, I understand my wounds, but I'm still exhausted. That's because their current practice structure is depleting them daily. Past focus modalities can't address present-day extraction. Imagine that you healed a broken leg beautifully. Physical therapy, proper recovery, full healing, but every day you're running marathons. And not only that, you're carrying people on your back while you do it. So you re-injure it. The healing work was good, but the ongoing activity pattern is the problem. EMDR, IFS, and somatics, they heal past injuries. But if your current work structure is continuously depleting you, the exhaustion returns immediately. Ask yourself, have you processed your past trauma but still feel exhausted at the end of the week? Does your depletion come back immediately after sessions with clients or meetings with partners or friends? Is your exhaustion tied more to the current way that you live than your past? If the answer is yes to all three, your exhaustion is present tense depletion, not just unresolved past trauma. Now, here's where it gets really important. If you're recognizing why those modalities haven't resolved your burnout, subscribe for more on what actually restores empathic healers and entrepreneurs. You can register for a soul recovery consultation in the description. Those modalities are individual, but you're depleted from absence of intact relationship. It goes beyond just you. EMDR, IFS, and somatic therapy are modalities that focus on the individual. You process your trauma, you regulate your nervous system, but empathic burnout in healers and entrepreneurs is fundamentally relational. It's transpersonal. You hold others' pain, you absorb their activation, you carry their grief. This goes beyond your relationships with people to your connection with nature and to other forms of life. Your exhaustion comes from relational dynamics, from asymmetry, from lack of reciprocity and connection, from energetic merging, from unacknowledged relational grief, and from lack of intact connection with community and with nature. Individual modalities can address this relational depletion. You need holistic, intact practices that restore relational boundaries and also restore reciprocal energy flow. You can't heal relational depletion while you're still seeing it as an individual problem. Empathic healers and entrepreneurs who've done years of individual work still struggle with boundaries, still absorb pain from clients, friends, family members. They still give without receiving. That's because their depletion is relational. It's happening in the space between them and others. Individual modalities work on you alone, but they don't address the relational field where the depletion actually occurs. Imagine that you're in a leaky boat with others. Individual therapy teaches you how to swim better, how to stay calm in water, how to regulate your breathing, and all of these are useful skills, but the boat is still leaking. You need to address the relational system, the boat itself, not just improve your individual swimming ability. Empathic burnout is the leaking boat. Individual modalities teach you to swim, but they don't fix the leak. So, does your exhaustion happen in relation to others? Like after sessions, meetings, or holding space for friends or family members? After giving? If yes, then it's relational depletion. And individual modalities alone won't resolve it. So, what do you actually need that those modalities don't provide? Here's the framework. You need ancestral work, grounded spiritual practices, and structural changes, not just trauma processing. EMDR, IFS, and Somatics are important. Keep them if they help. They're powerful modalities, but add 3 dimensions that they don't address. Ancestral acknowledgement for processing lineage grief, spiritual and nature connection practices for soul retrieval and relational healing, and structural changes for present depletion. This isn't either or, it's both and. You need trauma resolution and ancestral work and soul recovery and to practice restructuring relationships. Empathic healer burnout is multidimensional. It requires multidimensional healing. You don't need to replace those modalities. You need to add what they're missing. The empathic healers and entrepreneurs who successfully recover don't abandon EMDR or IFS or somatics. They integrate those tools with ancestral work, with grounded spiritual practices, with nature connection practices, and with structural changes to their daily life and to their relationships. They address all the dimensions of their exhaustion: personal, ancestral, spiritual, and present tense relational. So you have to stop expecting trauma modalities alone to resolve your empathic burnout. You need to stop thinking that you're resistant because those approaches haven't fully worked. And you need to stop doing more of the same in the hope that it'll finally fix you. You need to start acknowledging ancestors and doing ancestral healing practices. You need to start embodied, grounded spiritual practices. You need to start a structural assessment of your relationships and of your work. Here's an integrated practice that addresses all 3 dimensions. This practice goes beyond trauma modalities, and it integrates these different elements that EMDR, IFS, and somatics don't address. It addresses the ancestral aspect of healing, the spiritual or relational aspect of soul recovery, and the structural aspect of present-day assessment. Combined, these address the full scope of empathic healer and entrepreneurial burnout. It's not just personal trauma. This works because ancestral work releases grief that isn't yours to process. Grounded spiritual practices invite those parts of your soul back and reestablish larger relationships that support you. Structural assessment reveals what's depleting you right now. So together, they create a comprehensive healing that trauma modalities currently don't provide. This complements and doesn't have to replace the work that you've already done. Think of empathic burnout as a 3-legged stool. So EMDR, IFS, and somatics address one leg, but the stool needs 3 legs to stand. So you need to learn how to focus on healing the ancestral aspect of things and the spiritual and structural aspect of things. You've been working on one leg, wondering why the stool keeps falling over, but you need all three. Tonight, practice this three-dimensional integration. This is a 15 to 20-minute practice for reclaiming your energy, reconnecting with the sacred, and remembering who you are. The first dimension is to reconnect with the sacred through nature, which reestablishes relational health in your life. Go outside, place both feet firmly on the earth. If available, place your hands on a tree, on the soil, a stone, or other natural element. Take several slow breaths. Allow your attention to settle into the living world around you. Notice the movement of the wind, the warmth of the sun, the sounds of the birds. Notice the texture of the earth beneath your feet. Remind yourself, I am not separate from nature. I belong here. Take a moment and acknowledge the countless relationships that are supporting your life right now. And that's not just human relationships. Acknowledge the earth beneath you, the air entering your lungs, the water that sustains, cleanses, and nourishes your body, the plants and animals that make your existence possible. Say, for a moment, I release the illusion that I must carry my life alone. I allow myself to be supported by the living world around me. Remain present. Notice any shift in your body as you remember that you are a part of something larger than yourself. The second dimension is ancestral recognition and reclaiming your energy. Place one hand on your heart. Keep one hand connected to the earth. Bring awareness to the generations that came before you. Whether you know their names or not, recognize that countless lives made your existence possible. Say, I honor those who came before me. I honor their sacrifices, their struggles, their victories, their gifts. Pause and notice what arises. Then say, I recognize that some burdens belong to the past. I recognize that some fears, responsibilities, and expectations were never mine to carry. With gratitude and respect, I return what does not belong to me. Take a deep breath. Imagine releasing those inherited burdens into the earth where they can be transformed. Then say, I keep the wisdom, I keep the strength, I keep the love. The rest returns to where it belongs. Finish by saying, may my healing honor those that came before me and benefit those that come after me. And for the third dimension, alignment and the recovery of life force, remain seated quietly. Ask yourself, where is my energy leaving my life? Wait for the first honest answers. Don't analyze or judge. Just listen and ask, what am I carrying that does not belong to me? Where am I overgiving? What unconscious agreement am I still living from? What part of my life is no longer aligned with who I am becoming? Where am I abandoning myself in order to gain approval, safety, or belonging? Write down whatever emerges. Choose one area where you will reclaim your energy this week. Some examples are setting a stronger boundary, saying no to an unnecessary obligation, spending more time in nature, asking for support, creating space for rest and restoration, returning to a neglected calling or purpose. Then make a commitment and speak it out loud. Say, I reclaim my energy from what no longer serves my life. I choose alignment over obligation. I choose relationship over isolation. I choose wholeness over fragmentation. This week, I will honor myself by, and fill in the blank. Take one final breath. Feel your connection to the earth beneath you. Feel your connection to the generations behind you. Feel your connection to the life waiting to emerge through you. Then close with, I stand between those who came before me and those who will come after me. May my choices bring healing, strength, and life. The work of remembering begins now. Say, I heal my personal traumas. I release ancestral grief with acknowledgement. I recover my soul with invitation. I protect my vitality with structural changes. This is comprehensive healing. This works because it addresses all the dimensions that the trauma modalities miss. It's ancestral work which releases lineage pain. It's connection to that vast web of life that supports you always. It is establishing stronger boundaries and allowing yourself to recognize where you are letting your energy leak and being able to call it back. So practice this weekly and track. See how your energy feels as you do this practice repeatedly. So EMDR, IFS, and somatic therapy are powerful, and they're still not enough for empathic burnout. You need to address what they were designed for. And you also need practices to help with ancestral grief, soul loss, and the present day depletion that is connected to unconscious agreements that you'd made in your relationships in your life. When you address all of these things, you start reclaiming your energy, you start closing up energetic leaks, and you start bringing those lost parts of yourself home. Subscribe for more on comprehensive healing that goes beyond trauma modalities. And if you're ready for deeper support in addressing the dimensions of empathic burnout as a healer or entrepreneur, check the link in the description for a soul recovery consultation. Your exhaustion is real, and it requires healing that addresses all of what you're carrying.